we'll do the live thing first. Like, hey everybody, welcome back to the Bigmark podcast. It's me, your host, Bigmark. If it's your first time watching, welcome. If not, welcome back. Like I always say, if you ever wanted to reach out to the podcast for any reason, hit us up in the DMs, hit us up on Instagram at the Bigmark Pod or on Twitter at the Bigmark Podcast, and let us know if you want to come on the show or, you know, anything like that, or an episode you want to hear or a topic that we covered. Just hit us up. We're all ears. You know, like I said in the comments as well, we want to kind of continue to grow the community. I want to hear what you guys have to say. And again, the best way you can support the podcast is what you're doing right now. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, for watching, liking, and subscribing to the channel and doing all that stuff. It's the best way you can support the podcast. And if you want to go that extra mile, check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thebigmarkpod. And there's a couple ways there you can donate and keep the lights on. You might notice, I don't know if it looks too much different to y'all, we actually have new lights in here in the studio today. So, the last episode I did with Jordan McCarter, shout out, phenomenal episode. I did with him about regenerative agriculture. The lights were working for us, but they almost weren't. So think those bit the dust. But hey, 224 episodes in, I'd say they did a good fucking job. So thanks, lights. On to bigger and better things and brighter things. But again, thank you all for helping, supporting, and keeping the lights on. So thank you for being here. I'm really excited to talk about today's topic. We're going to be talking about the Corktown Pub here in Hamilton. If you've never heard of it and you're from Hamilton, go and check it out. It's in the Corktown neighborhood in Hamilton, which is one of the oldest neighborhoods in Hamilton. It's been around since the 1800s. It was actually home to a lot of Irish immigrants in Hamilton. That was kind of where they all hung out, and it started as Dan Sullivan's store. 1888 is when the building that the Corktown is started, and I believe it was called a store, but I believe it was also a pub. I mean, back in those days, everything was all fucking, you know, it was a pub, a store, a fucking barber. It was like, you know, 10 different things, because it was just like, this is what you do. But Dan Sullivan's store was a fine place to get a drink. But, and then turned into the Corktown Pub, and it's been doing live music since 1930s. 1931, I think, is when it started being a live music venue. So for all this time, the Corktown Pub has been such a major music staple in Hamilton, and it's kind of funny, you know, talking with Jordan McCarter, like I mentioned, with Ian Hanachek. I want to say Haincack, but sorry, brother, I love you. We're talking so much about Hamilton. I mean, like, it's like, fuck, this is one of the staple places. Like, I can't tell you how many shows I've seen there. What would be a big one? I can't even remember how many shows. Lots of friend shows, lots of fundraisers and stuff like that. But I've been going there forever, and like my parents have told me about it. And yeah, I remember being in a band. When would have been the first time I played Corktown? I want to say one of my high school bands played there. Now, I think it was just with my buddy Matt Bonje, who was in one of my high school bands. He was also in a band, and they were playing a show. This was, 2016, I want to say, somewhere around there. And he said, hey, you know, do you know anyone who wants to play? We're kind of trying to fill out the bill, and I was just, basically just met some of my buddies that I went on to having a band with for years with. I just met them at the time, Adam and Luke, and I was kind of like, hey, boys, like, do you think we can do this? And like, we'd been jamming and stuff, don't get me wrong, but we didn't have anything tight. And basically over 1 week, like, we almost got together. I think we got together like 4 times or 5 times before, like every night, I'm pretty sure almost, we got together and learned a few songs. Like, we did All on the Watchtower. I think we did a really cool version of that. We did Hey Joe, maybe? Yeah, we did Hey Joe. Holy fuck. Just like, yeah, just easy songs, no big deal. We did Taylor. by Jack Johnson. I think it was 3, and maybe we did 5 songs actually altogether. Because yeah, we must have done 5. Because I'm pretty sure that we did Cortez the Killer, which was like a classic tune. Great way to just fill in a bill because it's just fun to jam. And it was just the 3 of us. We went up. It was me, Luke Orman on drums, and Adam Rogerson on guitar. I was playing bass, and Adam and I were singing. Fuck, man, it was fun. Little power trio. We called ourselves Kids with Guns. And loved it after the Gorilla song, which is a really cool song, even though some people thought it was a little bit of a racy name. But fuck, it's yeah, okay, maybe conjures images of child rebel soldiers or something like that. But there's a fucking band called Child Rebel Soldier. So, I don't know. Anyway, super fun, really cool place to play. So my parents said they've been seeing shows there for years. It used to be like a punk bar, where my dad said there used to be like a little fucking wall before where the dance floor was. So you knew when you're on the dance floor because you might get slammed, because they used to slam dance back in the day, which is basically like moshing, but everyone's just fucking smashing each other. But it's kind of like this U shape. So like the bar's in the middle. It's like a U-shaped bar. I mean, it's like squared off, but it's like a U shape. So you can get at the bar from three different angles, which is nice for getting a drink. But the way the music is set up is that it's kind of like one that U almost splits the bar in half, and you have the stage kind of at the back. You know, if you're bird's eye view thinking of a U shape, at the one far end of the U is where the stage is. There's a bathroom over there in the stage, and then good amount of seating, tables, standing room. You know, you can move the tables if you want, whatever. I'm pretty sure there's an upstairs as well. I've never even really been. But you can move the tables if you need, like blah, blah, blah. And it allows like you to enjoy the music. If you're going to see the music, you can watch that. It's pretty, focused on the band. And if not, on the other side of the U, on the other arm of the U, if you will, is a bunch of tables and benches and fucking booths and shit that you can just chill and have a drink and listen to the music if you're not really there to just watch. So like that's why it was such a cool place for music, because even if you're not necessarily there for the band, you can still enjoy it somehow. And it's not, people aren't banging into you and standing around you trying to watch over whatever. It's a cool venue for that reason, because again, there's a lot of Irish music and Irish jams. They're always well known for their Wednesday night jams. Maybe that's where I went for like an open mic or something there once. I feel like maybe I did that somewhere. Anyway, again, it's just been such a part of Hamilton history, right? And Lou Molinaro, who's a good friend of the band. We've worked with him a bunch when he used to own This Ain't Hollywood, and he's he's well known in the city as a phenomenal rock music promoter, any type of music promoter. And he's actually hosting us. He reached out to myself and Reckless Harbor to play a show there for CFMU, which is a McMaster's radio station, 93.3 CFMU. And they're doing a little fundraiser because they're all, it's run by the student union. It's all run by donations and volunteers, right? So that keeps the lights on anyway. And it's just like a great little fundraiser, and we're super excited to play it. We're also going to be playing with Elephant. Oops, sorry. We're going to be playing with Elephant and Stars and Soulquarium. So we're super excited. It was funny actually. Lou was like, "Hey, you guys can headline everything." And as much as we love to and want to be, the headliner, as you will. I mean, we're first on the bill, but we're not necessarily going to go last because these other bands are like kind of full bands and we're just a 4-piece, no drums. So like we kind of do sit better, like mostly in the middle of the bill, if you will, maybe someday we'll be big enough. Like I wonder what like Mumford and Sons used to do. They probably just always had bands ahead of them that were like them, like that just didn't have drums and were like, or like just a dude in an acoustic or something, right? Like you always wonder about that stuff. But actually, I'm doing this podcast right now. It's actually this week, Friday, April 4th, 2025. If you're listening to this in the future, way down in history, maybe the show's already gone down, but get your tickets, 15 in advance, 20 at the door, 8 p.m., 19 plus. and it's at the Corktown, which is 175 Yonge Street. And again, that little place, right, like, has just been around for so long, and it's kind of sad because, you know, there was a phenomenal bar in Hamilton called the Casbah. Loved playing there. That had been another staple here in Hamilton, and excellent place for seeing bands, and saw so many shows there. But unfortunately, it too has fallen ill to the condo corporations anyway that are going to come in and just buy that up eventually and tear it down, turn it into another fucking condo, and turn King and Queen and Hamilton into a goddamn condo fucking high-rise corner. If they can get their hands on the Scottish Rite, but hopefully they never will. But fuck, man, like, again, don't get me wrong, wasn't necessarily the most beautiful building, but it was there, and it was alive, and now it's gone. So it's probably going to be the new place. It's probably going to be the Corktown is probably now going to be the new Casbah. I mean, it's funny, when the Casbah opened in 2000, it actually took a lot of shows from the Corktown, and a lot of those shows that would have been at the Corktown started happening at the Casbah, and now it's like kind of come 25 years later, it's kind of come full circle, and the Corktown still remains. I mean, you know, things change, but the Corktown remains, right? So, you know, it's kind of one of these spots where you want it to live, you don't want it to die, and I think if people are keeping their eyes open, as much as Hamilton is growing and as much as it's changing and changing for the better and improving, and I mean, you know, gentrifying, as much as that can be a bit of a loaded word, you know, it's getting better, but I think we have to be careful, and we have to keep some reins on things, and not to sound like an old fogey, but, you know, think about progression a little bit, and think about what direction we're actually going in. And I think, you know, we're getting the LRT here in Hamilton, we're getting the GO lines are coming into Hamilton a lot better. That's the shit I'm liking. Or of course the restaurants and the music and well, not even the music, because they're fucking closing down music venues. So let's keep the music alive, people. Hamilton is one of the best cities in the world for live music, and I think we got to get back to that. We got to get back to it being a city where you can go out at any time. Like, I mean, I've been, like, maybe I'm spoiled. I've been to Halifax, Nova Scotia, where I don't know about many other places, but the music in that town, it is alive. It's seemingly everywhere. You know, even though it might not be, it just seems to be leaking out of every window, and any pub you pass by, someone's rocking and killing it. I mean, I just remember walking into some random bar, again, this is years ago, off Argyle Street in Halifax, and just hearing one of the best bands I've ever heard. Like, they're just so good, even though they're just kind of like, apparently it was like El Torpedo. It was like the other guys in Matt Mays and El Torpedo in his band without Matt Mays, just up on stage. But they like put whoever was singing was killing it, and then he just puts the microphone into the crowd at one point, and the random girl who starts singing is just belting and killing it. Like, I was just blown away, and you just feel that all over the East Coast. I feel like, I mean, I haven't been many other places, but like out to Cape Breton, same idea. It's just permeates the land, and I feel like that exists, you know, everywhere really. But I feel like in a city like Hamilton, that stuff can kind of coalesce and concentrate, and you can kind of find these spots where any place you walk into, there's going to be cool music there. Like, this is in Oakville, the Moonshine Cafe. You walk in there, man, fucking, I host open mic night at Sean and Ed's every third Thursday, and some of the people that are coming out to that are phenomenal. Like, holy shit. I mean, just like, people are just up there crushing it. And I think maybe COVID has kind of fucked shit up, and people are still kind of like getting back to that, not to keep bringing that fucking shit up, but I think that really fucked us up. I think we really will look back on that time and really realize, like, man, not being able to go see music, which is so important and so powerful and so a part of the human experience. I think the fact that we were missing out on that really kind of messed with our social experience. And hopefully we can get back to that. And and hopefully bars and restaurants and stuff start to kind of bring that back and start to go, hey, you know, people appreciate live music, even if it is just a dude in the corner with his guitar. If he's good, people are down and they can still be fucking munching and eating their food, and it doesn't have to be big, but like live, it's still live. And there's these dudes here in Hamilton that like they play on their porch. They're like on Mulberry Street, just off James Street here in Hamilton. Phenomenal. And sorry, this is such a Hamilton-centric podcast, but you can't talk about the Corktown without talking about Hamilton, right? So, again, people, check it out. If you're listening to this before April 4th, 2025, come out and see Reckless Harbor. Come out and check us out. Shout out Lou Molinaro. Shout out the whole Corktown family. Shout out CFMU. We're super excited to be there. You know, we're happy to be, again, part of this history of over 10,000 bands. Including the Tragically Hip, Blue Rodeo, Arkells, Tom Cochran. Even actually, the Corktown actually hosted Jeff Healey's last show, which was just before his death in 2008. And it's kind of funny. Well, sorry, that's a weird way to say that. Jeff Healey's death, tragic, of course. My goodness. But amazing that the Corktown hosted Jeff Healey in 2008. Like, oh my gosh, super cool. But it's kind of funny. That makes me think, seeing that the Tragically Hip played there. Fuck, I'm sorry. Shout out Jeff Healey. I didn't mean that, but the reason I said it was funny is because it made me think about that Tragically Hip story. Is when I had the privilege of getting to see the second last Tragically Hip show here in Hamilton. Gord, you know, obviously wasn't doing very well. But he was still able to tell his stories, and he was telling a story about one of the shows, I think one of the first shows they played in Hamilton, because obviously he knew this was his last one in Hamilton, and I think he was talking about the first one where he said during the show they were playing to nobody. There was 0 people in the stands, and at one point the bass player had to put his bass down while the band was still playing, run upstairs and talk to the manager and make sure they got paid, because they didn't want to stop playing, and then the manager, and then they just say, get the fuck out of here. And I've always been racking my brain about what bar that would have been. I wonder what bar that would have been. There's a few bars where it was like, all right, you got to run upstairs to talk to somebody, and like I said, I'm pretty sure there's an upstairs to the Corktown. I think that's where the offices are. Again, I don't know how to get there, but yeah, so maybe it was the Corktown that they were talking about. But, you know, amazing bands have played there. You know, amazing, you know, shout out to all the people who have come and gone, who have played that stage. And, you know, Reckless Harbor hasn't played it yet, so we're really excited to play it, and we're kind of surprised we haven't played it yet. It seems like it's going to be a perfect place. So here's to many more at the Corktown, many more pints of Guinness, many more shows, many more fiddle tunes. Thanks for listening, y'all. Hopefully we'll see you at the show. Check it out. Patreon, YouTubes. Love ya. Peace.